Good Monday afternoon to you. It's 4 o'clock in time for Sports4CLE. Thanks for joining us. Guardians advance to the ALDS. Talk about that in a little bit. The Browns, more of the same kind of thing. Fall to 2-3. Again, the defense not getting it done against the Los Angeles Chargers, losing to them. Cade York misses a field goal that could have won it with 11 seconds left. Here's Kevin Stefanski the day after another loss.
Okay, injury front, like I mentioned yesterday, Denzel is in the concussion protocol. You know, the game, like we mentioned, it was very frustrating. You know, we want to go in there and get a win, and we didn't. So obviously credit to them. They beat us, but we got to look at the areas that we beat ourselves as well. I think there were just too many examples, offense, defense, special teams, players, coaches, where we just beat ourselves. So that's really the focus of today, is looking at ways that we can get better. Things that need to be fixed, we got to fix them.
I can save you a lot of time. Look at the run defense and correct the run defense first and foremost. Let's take a look at some of the plays that weren't made. And this can't happen in an NFL game. That's the worst rushing team in the NFL, the Los Angeles Chargers. Eckler finally run down from behind, but a huge gap. More of the same here. Tackling not good. Run defense not good. Look at this one, where no contain whatsoever. The guy that has outside contain sucked in. Here's more of this. It spins out a missed tackle. Trying to punch the ball out, doesn't work. Into the end zone for a touchdown. And take a look at this. This will sum it up pretty beautifully. Browns have been credited 46 missed tackles this year, tied for 5th highest. That excludes Monday Night Football, but missed tackling, bad assignments, not getting run fits, it leads to losses. Let's welcome in G. Bush, host of the Barbershop 92.3 The Fan, as well as co-host of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. That defensive line, that Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney, doesn't matter. You got to stop the run. You're going to see a heavy dose of it until you do.
You know, I just had to take the liberty to pull up some of these grades. PFF grade, Perion Winfrey, 47.9. Jordan Elliott had a 30.2. These, by the way, the lower the score, it's not an inverse thing. Like the best you could do is 100. The worst you can do is a 0. So, you know, Jordan Elliott at 30.2. Taven Bryan of 51.9. Tommy Togiai bringing up the rear, 28.9%. Yeah. I'm just going to be honest. You know, I just got to keep it real. You know, sometimes you come on the shows and you got to be really a elder statesman, and you got to, they got to do better to, shore the fits up, and maybe they can clean it up for this week against the Patriots. No, we're not going to do that. They known that this defensive tackle room has been terrible. They've known they didn't have any playmakers over there. They've known that they didn't have anything. And the Cleveland Browns didn't do anything to shore that up. And Ndamukong Suh is still out there, but yet and still, we'll probably talk about it. They got a little linebacker that they went and got. But at the end of the day, it starts up front. They've been leaning on the fact that they've had Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney for way too long. Joe Woods either is going to have to understand that, hey, we don't have D tackles in there, so we're going to have more 8-man fronts. I don't think that I've seen the Browns with any 8-man fronts ever. All I see is nickel backs, nickel guys, and small and versatile and speed. And listen, I'm a Midwest kid that comes from Northeast Ohio. And you know what? When you want to stop the run, you got to have big, ugly guys up front, not these little corners and linebackers and hybrid guys that run sideline to sideline. Because at the last 2 weeks, what we've seen is the Atlanta Falcons with practice team players, scout guys, and then the team that was the worst in the league, 32nd in rushing, come in and just manhandle you up front, and that's with Jadeveon Clowney, and that's with Myles Garrett. So that thought process that they're going to clean everything up, no. It's about stopping the run, and if you can't stop the run, you are going to give up everything, and that's what the Cleveland Browns are doing right now.
Yeah. Kevin Stefanski talked about fixing the run defense. Here's Stefanski earlier today.
Obviously, gave up 238 yards rushing, so it's never one thing. It can't be one player, it can't be one scheme, can't be one position. It's everybody. So we got to own it and we got to fix it. We got to make sure that we look at everything. There's nothing that you can't look at. We got to be very intentional about that because until you stop it, teams are going to always continue to do that. Of course, there are things that you identify. But it's really you have to look at the whole thing. You have to look at what we're asking guys to do, who's doing it. Obviously, there's a discipline to doing your job. I get all that, but we got to look at all of it.
And again, G. Bush, let's take a look at this before we move on from that. There are 106 qualifying interior defensive linemen being graded on Pro Football Focus. Browns have 105 and 106. Are you calling Sheldon Richardson, Ndamukong Suh, somebody that you can plug in there that will absorb a couple of blockers and at least fill a gap?
Your defense, Coach Stefanski, once again, I don't have any ulterior motives, man. I don't got no contracts, no deals, man. I just tell it like it is. You don't got no D tackles, Coach. You just don't. You take a look at these are Cleveland Browns run grades, right? Run grades. Obviously, we look at those. Perrion Winfrey had a 29.5. Jordan Elliott had a 43.3. Taven Bryan had a 34.6. JOK, who's your linebacker that's supposed to be filling downhill, tackling people. That's what linebackers do. He had a 49.4. Not only that, but you look on his team. You talk about Jacob Phillips, who he looks like he's going to get replaced. He had a 69. And so once again, when you're looking at these grades and you're looking at the guys in the game, and you look at the all 22, they're not fitting well. There's no gap integrity. Guys are taking terrible angles from the secondary. You got guys that can't get a person on the ground. They're not physical. The line of scrimmage is not being changed. The thing about it is Austin Eckler wasn't getting touched for 6 yards. There was no one in the screen. There was no one in the vicinity, 6, 7, 8 yards before someone appeared. And yes, Coach, we've talked about Joe Woods for a long period of time. We got mad at him when Chad Henne was running on 3rd and 14. We've been mad when backup quarterbacks come in and he can't get pressure. We've even talked about the use of man coverage versus zone coverage. But come on, Coach. At this point, we're talking about tackling, getting off blocks, and doing things in a physical nature. Those are the building blocks of what defensive line play is. Hey, I know. It's just easy. If you can't get off a block and they're running the football, you're not going to beat anybody. And to be honest, right now, the Cleveland Browns on defense don't look like they can beat anybody. They're not going to be able to beat any teams, especially when you got, guys who they're not even showing any fire. I'm just looking for somebody to get mad. Just be upset about it. I'm confused as everybody else, man, on this defense that was supposed to be top 5.
All right. You alluded to the trade earlier. So the Browns will get Deion Jones and a 2024 7th-round pick from the Falcons. Falcons get the Browns' 2024 6th-round pick. Now, Jones was a Pro Bowler back in 2017. Career grade 90.3 in coverage, 6th among linebackers since 2016. He was a Pro Bowler in 2017. He's coming off a shoulder injury, has been on IR, did not play up to that previous standard a season ago. But, again, it's a guy who has played a lot of games in the NFL, and the Browns at this point are looking for somebody that they can put in the middle of that field that can tackle a guy running the football.
Well, he's a guy. I talked to John Costco, Pro Football Focus, probably about 5 minutes ago to get the scouting report on him. He's a guy who has a great coverage grade. He kind of fell off a cliff last year. Now maybe that was due to some injury. Maybe he's playing in a scheme that's not comfortable to him, or really best accentuates what his skill set is. Now the Cleveland Browns will take a flyer on him because they really didn't give up anything for it. Late round pick to get a guy who seemingly is in the prime of his career, a guy that knows the game, a guy that could be put in the middle of that field. Anthony Walker goes out, and Anthony Walker was playing at 82%, according to Pro Football Focus. So this guy that's going to give you somebody that can shore up the passing game. However, you still need some guys in the run game. He's not a thumper. He's not a guy that's going to be hitting guys in the backfield, guys that are going to be really stout in the run. He's decent. He's serviceable, but his main strength is the pass game. So when you're looking at it, there's still one thing I am encouraged by is the fact that Andrew Berry understood what type of time it was and said, "Oh no, we can't live with that. We're not gonna make it because everyone's counting it down to 11 games with Deshaun Watson, and you can't lose too many more games to be in contention when Deshaun Watson gets back." So when you look at this, I'm still looking for Andrew Berry. I like the urgency. I like the sense of urgency that you got and fixing it. But please, you're going to have to do that at the defensive tackle position because no linebacker can go downhill and make tackles if the defensive line is getting pushed back in their lap. That's not going to happen. We need to upgrade in defensive tackles. I don't know if we got to look at practice squads, waiver wires, whatever the case may be. Give a little money to Sheldon Richardson to come on back in here. Give a little extra money to Dominic Sue. It's nothing but a one-year rental before you get to the draft and kind of solidify our free agency. At the end of the day, to give your chance a self to make the playoffs and to do something special this year, you got to show up to defensive line. Linebacker was a start. D-line needs to be, definitely a priority for them as well.
G. Bush from 92.3 The Fan, The Barbershop, and the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. We will continue talking Browns. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
We continue talking Browns with G. Bush from 92.3 The Fans, The Barbershop, as well as the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one about where the Browns sit this year.
Hi, my name's Ryan from Dayton, Ohio, longtime supporter of the channel and lifelong Browns fan. Even though we lost to the Chargers, I can see promise in this team. With both sides, offense and defense, stepping up, I think that we can get more wins than people expect this year, especially with the adding of Deion Jones during the Sunday night game. Thanks for taking my call.
All right, as always, appreciate all the calls. G. Bush, there needs to be TikTok, sense of urgency. That TikTok is the season getting away from them.
Tick, 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 man. I like his optimism. I need to drink the coffee he has, man. I love the optimism, man. But here's the thing. Right now, we will be sadly mistaken if we believe that we're going to drink the Kool-Aid and say that this team defensively is going to cause us anything but heartache and pain. It's, and I don't know whether or not the fan base understands this. One of the things that I'm so gravely scared about is this. The fact that getting Deshaun Watson could be a gift and a curse. Because let me break it down like this. Deshaun Watson can come back after a couple games and knock the rust off. He can make you look a certain way. Andrew Luck was able to do it for a long period of time. There was times where Peyton Manning or Patrick Mahomes can do it. Guys that are really talented at quarterback, what they do is they have a way of putting makeup on everything that is a blemish on your team, right? Because if you look at Jacoby Brissett and you look at Deshaun Watson, if you put Deshaun Watson in with this team, everything starts to look better. Instead of the interception on the goal line, Deshaun Watson uses his leg touchdown, and now the Browns are up. Instead of some of the throws that, he can't make, Deshaun Watson can now put those on the money. And now your record is better. But the thing that's going to always rear your ugly head is when it comes to winning time. And when I mean winning time is, we saw when you come in to play against a quarterback like a Herbert, when you come in to play against a quarterback like Mahomes or Josh Allen, you're going to have to beat these guys to get out of your division. And it's going to come a point where the Browns will be in the AFC Championship. I wholeheartedly agree with it. They'll be there at one point. But guess what? Deshaun Watson is not going to be the dude that can make up for every one of your mistakes. And special teams will always come back to hurt you. Busted missed assignments will come back to always haunt you. And when you can't tackle anybody and get anybody on the ground, it's going to come back to haunt you. And when you're playing against Josh Allen, you're playing against Mahomes, and the stakes are at the highest, it's not a Cleveland Browns curse when it don't happen. It's you didn't pay attention to the things that you should have been paying attention to at the ground level, the small things, and you didn't work on it, you didn't take heed, and you just looked at the results. That's why when people say, a win's a win, I'll take it. No, because at one point in time, you're going to have to actually take a look at what you're doing wrong so that you can make those plays at the highest level in crunch time against top-notch competition, and that's where you want to go as an organization, not treading water or not just making it. That's what you need to do to be contenders and to be champions.
All right, a couple of roster moves for the Browns. The Browns waived tight end Miller Forrestall, released quarterback Josh Rosen from the practice squad. Josina Anderson tweets, I said keep an eye on the situation. It still pertains. All right, so what do you make of that, G. Bush?
Well, look, I hope it's another move because they need it. That film, I'm telling you what, man, that film is so ugly. I wouldn't be surprised if they just say, guys, we're going to have to flush that. We're going to have to burn that film. We're not even going to watch. We can't even get nothing from it because it was that bad. It was that bad watching that on Sunday. And I know Andrew Berry's looking at it. I know he is because he's sitting here thinking like this. The worst thing that can happen to Andrew Berry is this, saying that you went and made a trade for Deshaun Watson, but the trades that you didn't make to make the team better while Watson was out cost you an opportunity to play meaningful games in 2022. That is a death sentence. Not saying that they would get rid of him. I'm not going that route or doing nothing else. But he understands the job, the task at hand. Jimmy Haslam, the fan base, and everybody else paid a hefty price. And I'm talking about the hefty price in terms of public PR. I'm talking about the hefty price in terms of the salary. I'm talking about the hefty price in the blowback from your own fan base and acquiring Deshaun Watson. So it's a hard pill to swallow. If you get Deshaun Watson and you're 4-something, that ain't no. We want to see Deshaun Watson and what we paid for. We had to put on layaway. We want to see these in meaningful games down the stretch to see what you got, to give an evaluation of other people on your team. And if you don't make moves now, that can help bolster your team in the defensive tackle room and some of the other areas of the defense, like linebacker, which you've already done, you're gonna have a hard price. I mean, they're gonna call you in the carpet and say, "Well, why? It costs how much to go get Ndamukong Suh? That was it. Why didn't we make the move? Why didn't we do it?" And I think that might be what's the next thing on the horizon is they're turning over every stone to see if they can get this roster better to at least get to 500, 6-5, a little bit above before Deshaun Watson gets back.
All right, Deshaun Watson back in Berea, able to attend team meetings. Kevin Stefanski talked about having Watson back in Berea today, the first day that was what was going on.
Yeah, I think, haven't been able, just saw Deshaun this morning for the first time. So we'll work through what we're allowed to do with him for the foreseeable future, which I believe is he's in the meeting rooms with our guys, and he's in there now with the guys, which is great for him and us to have him back with his teammates. And then I know he can't be out on the field and working out just yet with the guys. So we'll just take that one day by day.
Any impression of the work he did, football, non-football wise, while he was gone?
Yeah, he's in a good spot. I think he worked real hard, was in town, working locally, making sure he was staying on top of it physically. So now he's just got to catch up a little bit in the meeting room.
And you saw that tweet coming up. He's not able to practice until November 14th. Not able to play until December 4th against his former team, the Texans. All right, G. Bush, this is a concern that I've had. Russell Wilson is struggling mightily with the Broncos. Now, he is injured. He's got. Are you at all concerned? And keep in mind, Deshaun didn't play at all last year either. You concerned about that initial getting back to seeing live bullets thing with Deshaun Watson? Browns fans are expecting him to walk on water and save this team right when he can play.
Oh, they expect you. Listen, good and well. These guys over here, they rubbing their hands together. That's the reason everybody ain't panicking, right? That game was so bad Sunday. Everybody got a buffer because they doing exactly what you said they doing, waiting. Oh, we got an ace in the hole, man. We ain't worried about nothing. We got Deshaun Watson coming back. Now listen here. If you're worried about the rust, is that a real thing? Heck yeah, it's a real thing. I mean, he didn't look so good the first series he played against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now come to think of it and think about the way it's gonna be. He ain't got no camp. He ain't got none of that. It's just he just jumped right into it. Now look how bad some of the top quarterbacks didn't look just this year. Aaron Rodgers hasn't done nothing to call home about. Tom Brady, he has a lot of stuff going on right now personally. He don't look like the hottest guy in the street. Derek Carr, he's not ripping the street up. And then you get to the worst part. Oh my goodness, Russell Wilson looks like he's all the way washed. I mean, I'm confused by it. I'm like, wow, man, I knew you wasn't doing your thing last year, but this year, you look completely washed, bro. Now, when Deshaun Watson comes back, he has an advantage. He's younger than all those guys. He's more athletic than those guys. And he has something that those guys don't have. It's one called Nicholas Chubb in the offensive line. He's going to be able to just, by the way, Nick Chubb is on pace for 2,000 yards.
We got to get him on pace for 2,500 so we can win a couple of games.
Right, so we can pull it out in the fourth. But at least we can turn around and hand the ball to Chubb and say, look, we can still. We're good at limited quarterbacks. Like we good at micromanaging quarterbacks. We'll tell Deshaun, till you get your legs under you, we gonna give you the Jacoby. Which playbook you want? The Baker Mayfield or the Jacoby Brissett? Which one? He give you either or, and you only go throw the ball 25 times anyway. So hopefully that can get him over the hump. He can use his legs a little bit, extend some plays, but. It's going to be a couple of games, and it's just that's the exciting part. He's going to be working his way in. And it's going to be in the middle of season crunch time. This has never happened, by the way. There's never been a star quarterback that is inserted without it and notwithstanding injury that he just comes back and just gets right into a playoff hunt. That's crazy to me. Crazy.
G. Bush and I are going to take another time out. Other side of the break, we will continue talking Browns, Guardians a little bit further ahead. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery, Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
We continue talking Browns with G. Bush from 92.3 The Fans, The Barbershop, and the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hey, Dave. The great show, Frank from Cleveland again. I was just watching the 1978 Browns highlights, and I'm baffled. They had no headsets, no nothing, but everybody was on the same page. Can you explain that to me? What's the breakdown here with Joe Woods? All right, great show again, Dave. Got love for you, brother. Bye.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. G. Bush, maybe that's the answer. We got to go back and watch 70s and 80s Brown stuff because it's less frustrating. It's the players. The players eventually have to go and do it. Now, there's plenty of blame to go around on the defensive side of things.
Yeah, it's I can tell you why they didn't have too many breaks back then. It's simplicity, right? The more layers and sophistication you add to anything, yes, your outcome can be. Your output can be, enhanced because you got that level of sophistication, but you also have a downside to that, right? There is complex things going on. So when things go wrong, they really go wrong. I put it to you like this, man. When I was driving up, I had my mom and dad used to let me have a Dodge Windstar, man. It was a blue one. I had this Windstar. It was a van, no fancy bells and whistles, none of that, man. I used to all I had to worry about is putting gas in it and making sure the oil was changed. Nowadays, you get a new car, you gotta have the dealership warranty, you gotta have the warranty of the brand it is, you gotta have AAA, the oil gotta get changed, and if your circuit board go out, electrical, you might as well go ahead and chalk it up. You might as well turn the car back in. My engine light stays on, and I'm like, what the heck is this? Well, now you look at the Browns. The Browns under Joe Woods are actually sending two plays in the huddle. This is crazy to me, right? So they're sending two calls in. Based on what they give you or any checks that the offense makes, the defense can then change it to another call. Now, here's the thing. If you have the guy who's calling the plays, that's your middle linebacker, who's no longer there like Anthony Walker, or if you have a guy calling it, that's Phillips, right? And maybe he don't really kind of know what the play is, and then the secondary says, well, we thought we kept the play the same. No, then the Phillips is like, oh, well, we checked it because I saw this over here. And now, think about it. Even within those checks, there's about 5 different checks that you make based on alignment, based on whether you're on the hash or the field, based on whether they got certain personnel in. Guess what? That's 12 different plays that you're actually thinking and that you need to get into instead of just the one. In 78, you know what they said? We're going to go out there and bear defense. we're going to run the bear defense, and that was it.
So you have solved the problem of the Browns defense. It is a game of childhood telephone where it starts as one thing, and by the time it gets to everybody else, somebody hears something completely different. See, we have solved the problems. Stop playing telephone on defense. All right.
That's it.
We got it. 3 takeaways from the Browns game. This is from the Bleacher Report against Chargers. Joe Woods needs to be on the hot seat. Offensively, Cleveland needs to stick with what it does best. You see the picture of Nick Chubb. And York simply is not a clutch kicker yet. Yeah, you know what? The one thing that I would say is I don't think you want to ask Jacoby Brissett to do too much, and I think the last 2 games you've asked him to do a little too much.
See, you get excited. You know, I always say the pass game is like the 3-point game in the NBA. It's intoxicating, right? When you get to calling plays and you get to see my quarterback getting back to his third, drop back on that 3 to 5 step, letting the ball go in timing and rhythm right before the receiver gets out of his break, turns around, catches the football. Man, that feels good. And you get on your little play sheet and it's like, oh, man. Let me dial something else. Or you catch somebody in the defense that you didn't think so. It's like, oh, you thought I was running. Nope. Play action, deep shot. I just landed it to Amari Cooper. Boom. You ready to go, man. It's intoxicating. And then they lull you to sleep. You get to that 4th quarter, and you look on the sheet, and it should say, Chubb 1 through 5.
Go 10. And you go 1 through 10.
What? He goes off the menu and goes a la carte. Let me dial up the Jacoby Brissett throwback pass. You're like, no, we don't need it, dog. We had it.
The only thing you needed to do, right off tackle, around end, left tackle, right. If you want to mix it up, those are your options.
Or give me a quarterback sneak if you really want to be tricky, because he can't be stopped doing that. But we don't get it.
Yeah,
we don't. And that's the thing about you can look like the smartest guy in the room, and when Andy Reid is drawing this up, and he drawing it up for Patrick Mahomes, I know y'all got to be watching it. I know y'all see that game at the 4:00 game. I know y'all go watch that game and be like, we could do that too. No, you can't.
Nope.
No, you can't. You ain't got that. Just go ahead and get the ball to your best guy.
Yep.
They won't call you a genius for it. They'll say Nick Chubb carried the team. But trust me, if you just wait a couple more weeks, you can be called genius all you want when you get your star quarterback back.
All right, before we go to break, this one was kind of interesting. So Myles Garrett, Grant Delpit, both didn't like the fact that Brandon Staley went for it on 4th down against the Browns. Under a minute to go, trying to kill things. Here's Myles Garrett on that.
I expect him to go for it, but it's still disrespectful to us. I know he has a offense that was doing very well the whole day, and he expects him to get the first down. But to us, that's saying that's telling us that he can try to take advantage of us, and we don't take that very kindly.
You think that was disrespectful to your offense as well? If he was thinking they're not going to score even if we don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of disrespectful to the both sides of the ball. I mean, he's playing the numbers game. He's thinking, analytics wise, we're far enough where we can either make the stop on defense if they get it back, or we'll probably get the first down. It's 2 yards away, and we've been rushing the ball pretty well, and we've been throwing the ball pretty well. So, at the end of the day, we got the stop, but we got to get the win.
What do you think? What's wrong with the run defense, Myles?
Couldn't tell you till I watched the film. I think there's a couple things. It's the same as on offense, not offense, but on pass. Got to be able to be in the right spot, in the right time. Got to be able to communicate. Everybody get the call. Those are just simple stuff. The little things are really killing us and really showing up every time we're playing.
G. Bush, I love Myles Garrett to death, but Brandon Staley told you exactly what the NFL thinks of the Browns defense by going for it. They don't respect you. And until you guys continue to stop people from running, they're going to keep going for it on 4th down in those situations. You got to earn the respect.
Hey, ain't nobody going to give you nothing, man. Like, I'm confused with this new thing about the disrespect and respect and all. Like, man, you know how you make somebody respect you? Go out and beat people. You know how you make somebody respect you? Play 4 quarters. You know how you make somebody respect you? Make them pay for every single time they do stupid stuff and turn the ball over and do things that you gonna say. If you turn the ball over with the Browns, they're gonna score. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. They actually made a calculation that even if we don't get this 4th and 2, the Browns will do something stupid enough to not even capitalize off of it. So we think you self-checked. And guess what happened? They gave them the ball back after the Browns stopped them. They didn't panic, and they still didn't capitalize. So they were right in their calculation. They felt like you guys are self-checked. We're not even playing against you guys. We're playing against ourselves. If we execute and do what we need to do, which is the right thought process, then you guys aren't going to beat us. You'll beat yourselves. And guess what? Time after time after time after time, the Browns have done that traditionally thousands of ways. Thousands. If it's not missed assignments, missed tackles, if it's not penalties. We lost games because somebody took their helmet off and threw it. Dwayne Rudd literally took his helmet off and threw it because he thought the game was over. It's every way you can lose, man. Every way. And guess what? Until the Cleveland Browns decide that they want to take offense to it by actually going out and winning the close games, other teams should disrespect them. They should. At the end of the day, because it's about what your results. It ain't about respect. It's the results.
Right. You want to end that? Make them pay for it with a win and a loss. That's how you end that.
It is.
You end it now. All right, G. Bush and I are going to take one more time out other side of the break. We'll talk a little bit about Guardians heading to New York to take on the Yankees in the divisional series. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
We continue talking Browns. Going to move to Guardians with G. Bush from 92.3 The Fans, The Barbershop, as well as the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one about where the Browns sit.
Hi, Dave. Great show. Howard again from Marin County. My question to you is, I believe the Browns will probably at most win 6 games. I think the problem is the defense, and I think that is secondary to the Harvard boys and their personnel decisions, plus the coach. My question to you is, what will happen when the Browns win, like 6 games? Will they fire Kevin Stefanski? I hope not. Will they fire Joe Woods? Will they fire the GM? What will they do? I really don't see any way they're going to improve their defense for the rest of the year short of making a lot of trades. I don't see that. Have a nice day. Great show. Bye.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. G. Bush, I don't think Andrew Berry or Kevin Stefanski are anywhere near being relieved. 6 wins could change some things. I think they win more than 6. I could see coordinators changing.
Yeah, coordinators, and I don't even know how much Van Pelt would like. Get rid of Van Pelt. He doesn't call the plays. Stefanski calls the plays. He's putting together the game plan along with, in conjunction with Stefanski, but I don't see that. The defensive coordinator is the most likely, if anybody was to change, would be Joe Woods as far as the defensive coordinator is concerned. But I told people, I was mad as just like everybody else. But the calculus was this. They said, we went to get Deshaun Watson because we wanted Deshaun Watson play this year. Deshaun Watson was not able to play for the first 11 games. They're automatically going to get a mulligan and a pass for that. They're not even going to be really, truly evaluated until the end of next year when you have one full season with Deshaun Watson under their belt. So that's the furthest I think that they're even moving. Like, they're not in jeopardy of any losing their positions or jobs or anything like that. And even when they get Deshaun Watson back, chances are they're going to win games and they're going to look good, and they'll be a borderline playoff team if they can get everything together before he gets back. But he's not in he's not in jeopardy. If anything, Joe Woods will be on the high seat. But I've even said it for myself, even though I talk about all the time he got to go, but I would say there's probably still an 80% chance that he doesn't even get let go this year, because it really doesn't. I mean, like people say, what is it going to do? It could wake some people up, but it's not going to turn you into some overnight success on that side of the ball anyway.
Yeah, and the other thing is they've gone through so many coaches and general managers. They finally have guys that are kind of aligned. You have to give it a little bit of time if you're a fan and if you're an owner. All right, we're going to turn our attention now to the Guardians. Swept the Rays, getting ready to go to New York to play the Yankees. In case some folks need to be reminded, this is one of the things that happened the last time they were in New York facing the Yankees in April. They walked off, the Yankees walked off with a win, and their fans were kind of throwing garbage at our outfielders. Miles Straw didn't take too kindly to it. Yankees players came out there. But yes, back to Yankee Stadium as the Guardians will head there tomorrow to get that series underway. So much changed. They haven't played each other since July 3rd was the last time the Yankees and the Guardians played. Now, the Yankees were 5-1 against the Guardians during that time, outscoring them 38-14. But, gee, Bush, if you remember, early in the year, the Yankees were playing really well, and the Guardians kind of struggled and got things together. It kind of flipped. Around about August, the Yankees stopped playing well, and the Guardians started playing well.
Yeah, it's, I always talk about it like this. When Judge started going for 61, I think that kind of wears down on your team. That kind of wears you down because there's a lot of extra added, just camera work. There's a lot of extra media availability. There's just guys that, it's that whole situation. And I think because we've kind of seen somebody hit 60-plus home runs, we kind of forget back in the 90s how much of a thing that was, how big. I mean, they were cutting into games like the McGuire-Sosa thing. That was such a huge part of our pop culture that I think that we kind of got reintroduced to that a little bit with the Yankees, and I think that took a little bit out of them because they started off like gangbusters coming out. But the Guardians, if you think about it, the Guardians, there's a lot of people that don't have the Guardians, season tickets. A lot of people aren't able to watch them on cable. And so this team was able to fly under the radar, young team, not on many national television games. And what they did is they just kept grinding. They did it unconventionally. They ran the bases well. They stole, I think 4 or 5 guys have over 20 stolen bases. They put the ball in play. They had the least amount of strikeouts, and they have the least amount of swings and misses. So they're putting the ball in play, running the base paths aggressively, playing solid defense, and having a timely home run or a hit here or there. And now you can see that type of ball wins. That type of ball wins. And now that you got the Yankees, who have been off for a little bit, the Guardians, a young team that have come in here with the Rays and battled it out in 2 games that were really nail-biters and really close, really intense. They win those games, and you never want to play these teams that really feel like they got house money. Like, if I'm playing the Guardians, I don't want no parts of the Guardians right now. They got to create the best bullpen. Clausse comes in and throws wicked stuff. They got Shane Bieber, who's actually pitching like the Cy Young Shane Bieber we know. Tristan McKenzie has been throwing the ball, 8 strikeouts in game, the game clinching in the wild card round. And then you got Jose Ramirez, who didn't, hit the home run to kind of win the game, 2-run home run in the first. But the 2 plays he made with the glove, backhanding it, throwing it over there, getting the guy out. I'll tell you what, when you play a team like that, they got all the ingredients for a team that's feisty, that you don't want to play in October, and they got the best manager doing it in Tito Francona. So watch out for the Guardians, man. They make it easier to watch the doggone Browns.
Yeah. And the one thing, if they can keep the Yankees from hitting the ball out of the park, and the Yankees have guys that can do that. As long as they can keep the ball reasonably in the park, Guardians have a really good chance at doing what they want to do and heading to the American League Championship Series.
Yes, sir.
G. Bush, as always, man, appreciate the time and the insight. Great stuff. Thanks very much.
Always, man. Have a great day.
You too. Again, G. Bush, make sure you catch him. 92.3 The Fans, The Barbershop, 8 until 12 on Saturdays. Also, Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show here on YouTube, Monday through Friday, 11 to 1. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. Eddie McDonald on the other side of the break. We're talking Browns.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
We continue talking Browns. Let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one about what is concerning about the Browns.
Actually first far back and not giving enough pressure or playing man. I don't know. Big fan of the Browns, and I just think they should be better. What do you think the biggest problem is for the Browns starting so far? Thank you so much.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. Let's welcome in Eddie McDonald from Dog Pound Daily. And Eddie, when we were talking about it, you made a really valid point. Not only defense, but kind of the leaders on that defense.
Yeah, the leadership is just absolutely not there. To answer the voicemail's question, the caller on the voicemail, appreciate him calling in and leaving a voicemail. The defense is absolutely the issue. And we came into this season thinking, all right, the defense is good enough and talented enough to get us to a point where Brissett has to just make minimal plays and just manage the game slightly better than what Baker Mayfield did last year. And so far it's been flipped. Jacoby Brissett has been the one playing extremely well outside of 3 costly turnovers late in games. But even yesterday they had a chance to win the game. The defense did have a big stand on 4th down. They felt disrespected, but there's just no leadership on the team. Myles Garrett, was chirping at the media because the fans were booing. Well, what do you expect when you blow a 13-point lead with 1:55 left? And then you had him yesterday chirping again, So he's not stepping up as a leader as you would think he would. He is, the highest paid player on the defensive side of the ball. Denzel Ward did not play well the first 3 weeks, and now he is starting to play a little better, but now he's in concussion protocol, so there's another leader out. And speaking of leadership, the loss of Anthony Walker is a lot bigger than a lot of people want to give credit for, because as Corey Kinnan of the Browns Wire wrote, he's the glue that held this defense together. He was the veteran leader, and there's a reason why Shaq Leonard, Darius Leonard, whatever you want to call him, in Indy was very sad when he left and came to Cleveland.
Yeah, and the run defense struggling coincides with him going out. So there's that's not by coincidence. He was a guy that in the middle of that defense made a lot of plays in the run game. So that's something they got to figure out, and they got to figure out pretty quickly. Martin Emerson talked about the defense. That's a rookie that's played pretty well. Here's Emerson on the defense.
It just comes down to will and want to, honestly, I feel like it's no perfect call. Everybody just, do their job and then run the gaps and all 11 to the ball, we should be fine. But we just got to, I feel like we got to click the switch on defense. We got to play better as a whole.
How frustrating has it been since you guys have not played up to what I know you guys feel like you can do and everybody else does as well?
It's very frustrating, but, take it one day at a time. We can't beat ourselves down about it, but we got to realize the mistakes and, we got to, fix them fast.
And Eddie, they gave up a bunch of yards to a Chargers team that was worst in the NFL running the football. Now you got a Patriots team that pretty much ran the ball down their throats a year ago, and that's concerning.
Yeah, not only did they do that a year ago, they just did it this past week to the Detroit Lions. Ramondre Stevenson, he has to be licking his chops to face this defense. And the rookie is absolutely right. That's more of a leadership thing than I've seen from most of the Browns players. Jadeveon Clowney spoke out yesterday. They have the names on paper, but they're not doing the production. Emerson has played well as a rookie, and for him to see that, they just have to, finish the job, finish their assignment. They're not doing that. And for him to see that, that says a lot about this team. But the run defense is just horrid. Like you said, the Chargers came into the game ranked last in the NFL. They had 258 total yards of rushing. in the 4 games prior, and they had 238 yesterday. So that is completely unacceptable. Austin Eckler was just doing whatever he wanted. Good for my fantasy team, bad for my real life football team. Just pathetic, and that is one place that Andrew Berry was very negligent about this roster. He didn't add guys to the interior side of the defensive line. He drafted guys, but you can't rely on rookies and guys that are on the practice squad to come in and make an immediate impact. And the Browns they're hurting for it. Yeah,
and it's got to get corrected quickly, or this season will get away from them, and you'll be, the games that Deshaun Watson is available for after sitting out the 11 won't be nearly as meaningful as you want them to be.
Absolutely. Week 6, this coming week, Sunday, is a must-win for the Browns. They have to somehow find a way to stop Ramondre Stevenson and whoever else is running. I don't know if Harris is playing for the Patriots. We'll see later this week. He did suffer an injury of some sort. I forget what it was yesterday. But Stevenson has to be looking at his chops. He ran for 161 yards on 25 carries. Eckler ran for 173 on 16 carries. So something has to give, and it has to give fast, because if not, then, I know that everyone is clamoring for the firing of Joe Woods, but Joe Woods can only do so much. Joe Woods isn't in between the white line, making tackles. The tackling yesterday was horrendous. Kevin Stefanski's tone changed a little bit more than what it normally does in the post-game presser, where, we got to make tackles. Yeah, you have to make tackles, or they're just going to do whatever they want to. And Bill Belichick knows that. So Bill Belichick is going to game plan for this, and if they're not careful, it could get out of hand quickly.
Yep. So the Browns now rank 5th in offensive efficiency, 30th in defensive efficiency, and 14th on special teams. And the only one of those that's performing like a playoff team is the offense. Harris is a hamstring, so you don't know. Damian Harris's injury is a hamstring, so we don't know. But bottom 3 in the league defensive efficiency, that's not a playoff team.
No, it absolutely isn't, and it's not even going to be, would normally be a high draft pick team, but we don't have a high draft pick this year. We don't have any draft pick in the first round. So this defense has got to get it together. I wrote an article earlier for Dog Pound Daily. It came out about noon, I think, and it just talked about, blame the defense and not Kevin Stefanski. And some people chirp back with, "Oh, well, do you know what the head coach's job is?" Yeah, I do, but it's also on the defensive players. We always hear how talented this roster is. Are they too talented in our fan minds? Probably, because coming into the season, like I said, they were supposed to be the glue to this team, and they kept us afloat till Deshaun Watson came back. But it's been the complete opposite. They've given up a handful of leads. Every time the Browns have had a fourth quarter lead, they've given it up in some fashion. So that needs to be addressed. Maybe with the addition of Deion Jones, that will help to replace Anthony Walker. Clearly, Jacob Phillips was not it, but something has to change. But the offense is doing everything it can. Obviously, Brissett had the interception yesterday. They gave away points. Could he have run for the first down? Maybe. If he couldn't have, he could have got close, and they could have kicked the field goal, and see what happens there. But the Chargers gave him the game back, and I know Cade York missed the 2 field goals, and he was drafted in the 4th round to make those kicks. So he has to come out and make those. He has to do better. That's the first time in his career he's missed 2 in a game. There's a lot that has to change, but luckily, any given Sunday in the NFL. So next week is must win, and anything can happen.
Yeah, and again, a couple of wins, you forget about it right now. But right now, 2-3 is not where anybody really thought the Browns would be after the first 4. So that's where they are. Patriots coming up, and as you said, it's a must win. Eddie McDonald, Dog Pound Daily, and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. Other side of the break, we'll continue talking Browns. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
We continue talking Browns with Eddie McDonald from Dog Pound Daily. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Dan from Youngstown. Stefanski, you get a reprieve when you let Brissett get roughed. When he got roughed, you didn't let him. But when he got rough, because you were throwing down there, and I wanted to throw the TV into the wall. When you did that, you're down there at the goal, and you're throwing. But when Brissett got rough, then you ran it in so I didn't have to throw my TV into the wall. So you got to reprieve on that one. I have no problem with Brissett, because as a backup, he's playing well. But we can blame Joe Woods because he had other defensive coordinators. They can seem to find a way to get their superstars involved in the game, and they can make plays. You know, we just can't seem to get Miles and Clowney into plays, make plays and get going. But at this level of football, the problem I have is we can't tackle. This is disgraceful. I see no fire from this defense when it comes to someone going and trying to go get someone trying to tackle. There's no fire. Fans are fed up with this product the Browns are putting on the field. The offense is doing their job, but the defense, they're showing no fire. And Cade York, I hope you don't have a mental block going on there. Your thoughts? Love the show.
Yeah, Eddie, I got to agree with him. The tackling is horrible. We had something earlier in the show. They have the 5th most missed tackles in the NFL, and they got a lot of good players on the defense. At some point in time, the players on the defensive side of the football have to go and play football.
Absolutely, and they had the players-only meeting in like after week two of the season, after that collapse against the Jets, and that's never a good thing. Players-only meetings rarely ever work. And this one didn't work. You know, there's still miscommunication. Somehow that's the buzzword that's going around: miscommunication and no communication this and communication that. And it just gets old. You know, normally, you know, we're excited for missed tackles because Nick Chubb is the one causing them, but he can't play defense and he's not the one out there tackling. The defense just was porous, just tackling yesterday. A bunch of just, you know, guys getting stopped in the backfield, but they weren't because missed tackles. And then here's a 5-10 yard play, and that's just unacceptable. And as for Cade York, the caller mentioned hopefully he's not in a mental block. I hope he's not either. And for some reason, he loves the right upright for whatever reason that is. And he was aiming more towards that yesterday. And had he just aimed down the middle of that kick that he had, probably would have won us the game. You know, I know 54 yards isn't a chip shot, but he was drafted in the 4th round for a reason. And now he's missed, you know, a handful of kicks. Hopefully it's just some rookie jitters and he gets that out of the way. But he's going to play a lot more games in First Energy Stadium. And, you know, it shouldn't usually come down to that. But that's the NFL. It's going to come down to a field goal attempt or, you know, a late possession. And the Chargers gift-wrapped us the ball back in with time left. And, you know, the kick went, you know, wide right, and that was the ball game. But that was on the defense as well, because if they could stop the run earlier, then they wouldn't be in that position.
Yeah, both teams kept trying to give the other team that game, and finally the Chargers took it after the final missed field goal. All right, Week 5, studs and duds from Dog Pound Daily. Studs, Martin Emerson, Nick Chubb, Greg Newsome. And I agree with all of those. I think Martin Emerson has played really well. We heard from him a little bit earlier. Duds, Cade York, Grant Delpit, Kevin Stefanski, and Jacoby Brissett. Cade York, of course, missed the field goal. Delpit has had some issues in the run game. Kevin Stefanski and Jacoby Brissett. Eddie, my thought process is, again, it was almost a 50-50 split between running and passing. And I don't think you want to ask Jacoby Brissett to do too much. There are, and I get it. You can't. I'm not saying you have to run the ball, 42 times. There's a reason Jacoby Brissett has been a really good backup in the league. There are some things that he does really well, some things that he doesn't do well. Minimize the things that he doesn't do well.
Yeah, and normally Stefanski has done a great job of that, putting him in position to just, 1-2 step, boom, ball's out, to whoever, Njoku, Cooper, Peoples-Jones, whoever it is, he's getting it out quickly. But it seems like in the fourth quarter, and I didn't get to read this yet, but where I think Randy went with Kevin Stefanski is he gets a little too cute sometimes. And there's another colleague from Dog Pound Daily that was upset on the counter on 4th and 1, which obviously you're upset with that. That's not the play that, caused the Browns to lose. But Stefanski outsmarts himself sometimes, I think, in critical situations. When it comes to crunch time, why he had that play dialed up where he thought Cooper would be open, but Brissett didn't see the linebacker who picked him off. I don't know what was going through his head at that point, but yeah, we don't need to run the ball 42 times, or maybe we do. You know, that would only be about 7 more times when we run it now. Going into the game, it was about a 53-47 split of run and pass. But you got to, maximize that. And as for, the studs of the game, Martin Emerson, he's played extremely well as a rookie, and he had the crucial play on 4th down against Mike Williams. And I saw all afternoon on Twitter, Denzel Ward can't guard bigger receivers, which he does have a tendency to have trouble with. Now he was out of the game, and Emerson got put on Mike Williams, and he broke up the pass on 4th down that, Garrett thought that the Chargers were disrespecting the defense. Well, here's a thing to not be disrespected. Don't allow 238 rushing yards prior to that. Then you won't be disrespected on defense. But Martin Emerson had a great game. And as for Grant Delpit, one of the duds in this, he has just not played well. He's always, every time you see him make a play, and it's not even a play, it's, a tackle that he makes like on the sideline after like a 10 or 15 yard gain, he'll get up barking at the teammates and be like, hey, why am I the one doing this? Well, you were probably in a different position. So there's a lot of things to clean up. Luckily, like I said, the NFL is week to week, and we can't base anything off what happened in the past. We can fix what happened, hopefully. And if not, then it's going to be a long season, and then Deshaun Watson comes, and it might not be for nothing for this season.
Eddie McDonald, Dawg Pound Daily, as always. Appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much, Eddie.
Appreciate it. And as for the Guardians, go get your homage, win the whole effing thing shirt, Network 216. Go find the link on there. And as for tomorrow, I'm a Boston Red Sox fan, but tomorrow I'm the biggest Cleveland Guardians fan there is.
Eddie McDonald, as always, thanks so much for the time and the insight. That'll do it for this edition of Sports for CLE. We will see you back here tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Have a great night, everybody. See you tomorrow on Sports for CLE.